Happy Friday, everybody. The holidays are right around the corner. The book of Boba Fett is right around the corner as well. And I figured I would hop on this microphone this morning with my cup of coffee and just kind of talk about Boba Fett for a little bit. You know, the history, what I overall, think of the character and more importantly, how Boba Fett is kind of, I don't know, Boba Fett is kind of the perfect example of how fans love obscure characters, obscure things in Star Wars, not necessarily obscure, but smaller scale things. Like there's people who love and dress up as Wilro Hood, right? And then you have Boba Fett, this character who appeared on screen for minutes in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and now there's this huge wave of content of Boba Fett. People love him through and through. It's really interesting. Just a friendly reminder, I'm doing that Jango Fett Black Series Gaming Greats giveaway, as you see on your screen. The way you can win this Gaming Greats Black Series Jango Fett, that's a mouthful, is to download the Disney Emoji Blitz mobile game using the link in the video description below. Once you use that link to download the game, you get to level 10 in the game. You screenshot you getting to level 10, and then you tweet that to me or tag me on Instagram, and that's how you enter the giveaway. That's how you enter this little Black Series Gaming Greats Jango Fett sweepstakes. All right, cool. So yeah, I'll pick a winner maybe like December 15th or so stay tuned for that. But yeah, man, Boba Fett is kind of the perfect example of something very small in Star Wars turning into something so big and grand, and it's really interesting. Is it, initially in The Empire Strikes Back, Boba Fett is this, Clint Eastwood gunslinger man with no name. He has a cape. He has jingle jangle spurs on his boots. He is a gunslinger. He has that, initially that Jason Wingreen rough and tough voice. He's no good to me dead. And he was just the strong, silent character in the corner. And that's why I liked him, Part of Boba Fett's appeal to me, at least back in the day, was his obscurity, was his mystery. I'm kind of a firm believer that not everything in Star Wars needs to have this grand explanation or needs to have this grand history or backstory. I think sometimes, especially for a character like Boba Fett, to me at least, it's more interesting to have this big, broad blanket of mystery draped over this character, right? To me, that was the appeal of Boba Fett. Didn't say much, only spoke when he needed to, got the job done, and he was this mysterious figure in the Star Wars galaxy, right? And yeah, he just looked cool as well, right? The armor, it was very appealing. And not too much was known about the character. There, some books written in the 90s about Boba Fett. And then, the prequels kind of defined Boba Fett as being what he is today. It's kind of interesting, like Boba Fett, the clone, father Jango Fett. It's really interesting for me to kind of wrap my head around what Boba Fett became, because I'm a child of the original trilogy. I grew up thinking Boba Fett was just, basically just as important as IG-88. He was just some kind of, bounty hunter hired to find Han Solo. That's it. That's it. And now Boba Fett and his DNA is such an integral part of the Star Wars lore, the Star Wars universe, the history of this franchise. It's very interesting what Boba Fett became. Do I like it? I don't know. It is what it is, right? It's not the history of the character that I ever would have expected going into the prequels, especially. I before we knew anything about the prequels, I never imagined that Boba Fett was going to be back, but that child Boba Fett was going to be back, and his dad was going to be Jango Fett. and his dad was going to be kind of the prototype, the DNA giver for all clones in the clone army, that Boba Fett was going to be a clone. Like, I never would have guessed that. I never would have wanted that, to tell you the truth. It's kind of fascinating what this small-scale character ultimately became. And still to this day, I'm not too sure if it's kind of a story point that I dig or not. But yeah, the Book of Boba Fett, man. The more the show's release date inches closer and closer and closer, the more I'm excited for the show. And to tell you the truth, it doesn't have much to do with the character of Boba Fett. You could legitimately have any character in Boba Fett's place in this upcoming show, and I would be equally as excited for the show. Because to me, the interesting part of the show is going to be, or what I think is going to be, what happens when a power vacuum is created. You know, Jabba the Hutt's reign, his crime syndicate has come crumbling down. And what happens when what was in place no longer exists, and you have a lot of different, maybe crime lords, maybe mercenaries, maybe, just random factions on this planet vying for power and trying to fill that power vacuum, that void, you know. It'll be really interesting to see what comes into play with that. And honestly, it has nothing to do with Boba Fett. Like, I'm more excited to see that obscure, that power vacuum being filled, and what happens when all of that comes crumbling down. Who comes to fill that void, right? But yeah, it's really fascinating to me what Boba Fett became. Because in my brain, and maybe this is stubborn, or maybe this is just what happens as you get older, you just look at the things in the franchises or in the history that you liked, and you kind of like stick with that. But in my head canon, like, Boba Fett is dead in the Sarlacc, and that, I don't know, it's weird, man. And he still has Jason Wingreen's voice. Maybe that's a stubborn outlook, but it's kind of it's funny to me. It's funny to me that what Boba Fett became. And I know people love him. People love his dad, especially. I feel like I hear a lot more about Jango Fett than Boba Fett, which, you know, that's the prequel generation, and I get it. It's also the Bounty Hunter GameCube game, which I've never played. People recommend that to me all the time, and I've never played it. I never owned a GameCube. I don't have a PlayStation to play it on. But yeah, what do you guys think, man? What do you guys think? Like, Boba Fett, it's on one. I do love the fact that Boba Fett has had so much fan love over the years, because it is, as I said earlier, a huge. It's kind of the perfect shining example of small scale something being loved by fans. Like, people like Alex from Star Wars explained, I think he loves Wedge. Wedge is like his, I'm not going to say favorite character, but I think he has a shrine to Wedge, right? My YouTube channel is named HelloGreedo. These relatively small scale characters, people latch onto. And in the grand scheme of things, initially, Boba Fett was one of those small-scale characters. And it's kind of cool that his history, his future has been expanded on. But again, in my 35 years on this planet, an OT kid, it's still weird for me to kind of wrap my brain around what this character became. Is anybody out there as old as me or older who feels the same way? I don't know how to articulate it, man. But it's weird. It's weird for me to think about or to envision. I accept it, but it's still weird. Boba Fett is still like this rough and tumble dude on the bridge of a Star Destroyer going, he's no good to me dead. But hey. What did I even say in this video? This is coffee. Friday morning. The weekend is right around the corner. Rambling about Boba Fett and playing some Battlefront 2. So, yeah, man. Happy weekend. Hope you got some fun plans for the holiday. Hope you got some good fun stuff on your Christmas list. I hope you got your presents. Dude, I've already finished buying all my Christmas presents. I've never been this early. And it feels good to just have it done. It's nice. Got my daughter a lot of stuff. Got my wife a lot of stuff. Yeah. Okay, that's enough for me. I've talked too much. It's time to shut up and, I don't know, play more Battlefront 2.